This is No But For Real.
Nah, but for real, tell me how I feel. We on that fire, tell me what up, everybody? I'm Dave,
I'm Jazzy.
and welcome to your favorite podcast, Nah, but for real.
For real. We back.
We ain't never left.
We back from last week. Come on, we can be back.
True. We back
always
from
back.
last week.
never left.
Welcome to the show. Podcast that talks about everything introspection and also every other thing too. We just be talking.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, it's a beautiful day. Repping my
It's a
red
beautiful
scared
day.
today. It is. It's nice out today. It ain't 98 degrees outside.
It's not. I was hot. No, I don't know what the degrees is though, but
It's only supposed to be like 82. That's
Oh.
not too bad.
no.
The
not
moment
really.
it get past 85, I'm staying in the house. That's just me though.
You're gonna be outside. Inside, outside.
Outside the house, but I'm gonna be inside somewhere. That's just how it go with me.
It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. I mean, if you saw
Beautiful sunny day.
if you saw my last post on IG, you gotta find something to celebrate. Life is too short. You gotta find something to be grateful for every morning.
Yeah.
And what am I grateful for? The fact that it ain't hot as hell outside.
At least we're not sweating our butts
I'm
off.
celebrating that today, especially because going to the Reds game later on, taking the kids, and
What did the Reds do? Did they do something, or was they disappointing?
no, we going today.
Oh, I thought it was because it was one yesterday, right?
Yeah, they won yesterday.
Oh, they won yesterday. Okay, period.
Yeah, we got free tickets, so I was like, we going, whatever.
That's the only way I can watch baseball. It's live like that. I can't watch it on TV.
No, I can't either.
It's just so boring. But at the game, it's like a whole different sport. Like, what's going on? I'd be
Right.
so into it. But watching it is like, okay, I'm about to go to sleep.
Right.
At home.
Can't watch it at home. No,
Yeah,
it's not like basketball or football.
I
'Cause
can't even, I don't even feel like I can watch. I mean, I can watch football at home. That's the only sport I
Yeah,
can
like-
watch at home. Everything else is like I gotta be
You can't
there.
even watch basketball at home.
During the finals, where I know
That's
like
it.
yeah, like I know like all right, you went to the next, but like the regular season, just be like, yeah, I don't know. I'm
Okay.
a football person. I like football. That's my favorite sport, as far as like watching it and stuff.
That's because she's violent and she be wanting to hit stuff.
I've always liked football players, so maybe that's why it went down to
She's also very.
being my favorite sport.
She's very violent. That's what that is.
I am not very violent.
I'm
Why would
kidding.
you? Why would you
I'm
say such a thing?
kidding.
My future
Anywho.
husband is out there listening. You know, I don't want him to think.
She's abusive. Don't do it. No. It's all good. It's all good. How was your week?
How was my week? What did I do? I would say this week was a little bit of a turning point for me. I've been going through a lot of things, and I started to get out of it, I guess, and start like choosing to do certain things that makes me happy again. So my week was good, I would say. Deciding to get myself back up again and join reality. I shut down for a week or two, I feel like, where I was like, I literally barely got out of bed. I finally got up, cleaned my house up, got back to work. So it was a good week. Not a great week, but a good week. So I'm just moving right along here.
Good.
How was your week?
Rough.
It was rough.
Um,
Why rough?
I was in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
I was in the hospital Tuesday. No. This was Wednesday. Yeah. I don't even so it was like 2 a.m. Woke up in the worst stomach pain of my life. Like it wasn't even like
Stomach pain is the worst, too.
It wasn't even
Stomach
like-
and mouth pain.
It wasn't even like my full stomach. It was like my left side. And I'm like, what is this? Like, got to the bathroom, threw up everything. Like, and so, quick story, because I'm so over it. I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Went to the hospital.
Did you
Christ,
say you went to two? I'm sorry. Didn't you say you went to 2 emergency rooms?
yes. Let me tell you.
Only you will be like, nah, this ain't gonna work. I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Went to Christ Hospital, which I don't even know why it's called Christ. It needs to be called Satan's Hospital because they are the absolute worst.
Really?
Literally the hospital from hell. Went in there, checked in. I'm in excruciating pain, the worst pain I've ever been in my life. 1.5 hours goes by, still nothing. Mind you, I'm still like throwing up in the bathroom, everything. Man looks at me. He was like, "We've been here 6 hours." I said, "Oh, no.
You was there 6 hours?
No. There was some other people there.
Oh, they were there 6
and
hours.
looked at me and was like, "Hey, we've been here 6 hours." Another couple that was there was there 4 hours. I said, "Yeah, I'm getting out of here."
Yeah.
So I went to Good Samaritan because all of them is Good Samaritans over there.
Right.
Wait was 40 minutes, and the staff was great. Found out I had a kidney stone, which I have never had that.
What
in
do
my
you? How
life.
do you get kidney stones? Did you?
Just not taking care of yourself.
Oh,
Not
okay.
resting, not drinking water, not eating right, which was everything I was doing within that last week. So
Yeah.
I had a kidney stone. Took me in, laid me on the bed, plugged me up to the IV, hydrated me up. Whatever drugs they give at this hospital,
They was potent, huh? They hit.
I see why people, like, when I say instant, I was like, cool, where we going? Like, look, I need to get up out of here. They was like, well, we got to do a CAT scan and all that. I was like, all right, hurry up. 'Cause
Right.
I
So you
don't-
can get back to overworking yourself.
And I don't like hospitals, so get me out.
What is the thing with men in hospitals? I feel like no man likes hospitals. I don't get it. Why do y'all hate hospitals?
I don't know why the rest of them hate hospitals. I hate hospitals. I don't like seeing people in distress like that.
Oh, okay.
Like, I just can't. And it was like people in there who was like going through it. I mean, to see people in that type of place, it's very hard for me. So I'm like, yeah, get me out of here.
I wonder if it has something to do with like being weak and vulnerable. Like men don't want to be like laid out, helpless, hopeless
Please.
type of thing.
I ain't that prideful. They they laid me on that bed. They were like, would you like a blanket? I said, yes, ma'am. They took it out the blanket warmer.
Yes, they do
Put that joint on me. Oh, it felt like a warm hug from Jesus himself. Oh, it was so nice.
Nah, them blankets do be hitting though.
And yeah, so
How do you feel now?
I feel great. I'm still in a little pain because my abs are literally sore from just puking up water and then nothing. Like, when I say it was rough, it started at 2 a.m. I didn't get home till about 7:30 in the morning, and I just rested the whole day. I literally slept the whole day. And then, like, the next day, came to the studio, did a little bit, and then I went home early. So just little by little, like, my diet completely different now.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little.
So we talked about that. Remember, it was like you even said it. You was like, listen, if you don't take care of your body,
Your body will tell
your body will like shut down on its own. Like
Yeah.
your body will do, what it needs to do, basically.
And one thing with me, it takes one time. One. Because when I say I'm never going through this again, the amount of water I've drank in the past 70
Look, you get that gallon in
since
this
Wednesday,
time.
I'm telling you right now, I got it right here.
I know that's
I
right.
got it right here. I mean, I'll be chugging this thing.
Accountability. Look at that accountability
Damn.
over there. Look at that
And
introspection.
I was like, yeah, I'm never going through this again. I'm about to be in the best shape of my life come my birthday, September 1st, which is in a
Period.
month and a half. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
They say it's like the closest thing to pregnancy, but pregnancy is worse. I never needed to know.
Right.
I never needed to know that. I don't care. Like,
That's disrespectful to us women.
well, it was a woman that told me that, but I'm just like, I don't care what's close to pregnancy. I don't want to go through it. I'm
Right.
good. Like, I'm cool.
You don't.
But,
You definitely don't.
people checked in, which I'm grateful for and everything. Other than that,
Yeah.
my week was cool.
Other than that.
Other than that, my
Other
week
than
was...
being in pain and that's happy.
yeah, so...
Well, I'm glad you're getting healthy.
Yeah, it's a tough start, but I got to do
It's
it.
a journey. Listen,
I got to do it.
ain't no such thing as diets. Like, I don't believe in that. It's lifestyle changes, like
Yeah.
you
I
got to
mean,
be conscious of decisions throughout
It's a
your
mindset
journey
change.
of being healthy. Yeah.
It's a mindset change.
Yeah.
And one thing that's going to change your mind is being in pain for 4 hours.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm cool.
Just to think if you would have stayed at Christ, you would have still been there.
I would have been there right now. We would not be shooting today.
You would have still been there. Just found out that you got a kidney
They need
stone.
to shut that place down.
I wonder what's going on in there.
I don't care.
I'm sure people complain about our hospitals, though. It probably just depends on who working that day. People are just...
And what's
They're not
crazy
good
is,
at their
like, people was
jobs.
asking the lady at the front desk, like, do y'all not have enough staff? Or, like, she was like, we're just, we're...
They're just unorganized and don't know what they're doing.
But she wasn't even giving straight answers. It's just like, if you don't know, say you don't know.
Right.
Like, at least we know you don't know. So
Yeah.
all that went down. But I'm all right. I'm good. Like I said, today's a beautiful day.
Today's a beautiful day.
We here shooting today. Great.
Nah, but for real day.
All right. So this next segment is called Let's Get Personal.
Let's get personal.
What are we getting personal about?
We already did.
Maybe it's something we already did.
Your significant other catches a case and is going to be locked up for a long time. Would you hold them down or leave? Explain.
It depends on what they in for.
Let's just assume they're in for something that wouldn't affect your decision to leave or
But
stay.
what would that be, though? Like theft? Like if you stole something, nah, I ain't going nowhere. If you killed somebody, I don't really know what to tell you because you probably going in for life. So,
But why would your significant other just up and be a murderer? Like, it would have to be a reason. Maybe it was self-defense. Maybe it was like, I don't know.
maybe it was self-defense. But life, nigga? Like,
No, so getting locked up for a long time.
life
be
is
anything.
a long time.
No, that is their life.
But no,
Oh,
I mean,
you're saying if you kill somebody, meaning like that, you're going to be locked up for life.
Yeah.
So how am I hold you down? Your life's over.
yeah,
Mine.
you're dying in that jail. So, and you think I'm going to wait?
Wait for what? Wait for you to die?
You in there for a long time, and I'm going to collect that insurance money, and it's going to be fine.
Okay, so let's give us a more specific scenario. I don't know what. Let's just say, okay, 5 years, 3 years, 2 to
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can wait. I'm a pretty patient person. So, I mean,
But like, yeah, I guess what did you go to jail for?
and that's why I asked, like, what you in there for? For
Because
what?
that's number
Because
one, really.
I'm telling you now, people out here, tax invasion,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
like,
PPP loan.
well, that's just stupidity. It's people like, in,
Oh,
like,
so when somebody go to
drug
jail,
trafficking, like, you got to take in a lot of, I don't know. I can't.
I think, okay, so
depends
I
on
got
what
a
it
couple of
is.
answers. I feel like, one, I don't really see that happening depending on who you decide to date, right? Like, I don't see me, and this is the thing. It's not even just me personally because it just depends on who you are and who you decide to date, I guess is what it boils down to. If you decide to date a drug dealer, I feel like, yeah, you should probably hold them down. You knew that was an option. You knew that was possible. You know what I mean? I don't understand how you can fall in love with a drug dealer and then be like, oh, he's in jail, so now, but you knew that was a part of the game.
Some people don't.
So
know,
how do
though.
you just dip
Ignorance
out
is
on your
bliss.
man knowing that his occupation can lead him to go to jail? He goes to jail and then you leave him. That's kind of messed up, in my opinion. you knew what was going on, and when you got into the situation.
She on to the next drug dealer. If that's what you.
Yeah, I mean, if you
want.
didn't really love them or whatever, but I mean, that just goes to show, like, if somebody really fooled with you or not. You know what I mean? Like, whether you can provide things from them or not.
But that's if they getting out.
But that's the thing. Like I said, if you're dating a criminal, if you're dating somebody who's breaking the law and you know that they're breaking the law, and then they go to jail and you ditch them, that's kind of weird. But if you have no idea that they're a criminal and they just all of a sudden reveal they're criminal to you and they go to jail, I just feel like that's a very valid reason to not hold them down.
They owe the IRS like $75,000.
Like,
Hell no.
Right. Like,
I'm out. I ain't going
you
down.
lied to me. Like, you lied to me about your character. I don't even know you. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
like,
out. You ain't taking me down with you. Ain't nothing in my name.
You know, it made me think of that movie High Crimes. Do you remember? Have you ever seen High Crimes? You should watch it. It was literally what we just talked about. Like, her husband was a murderer, a whole murderer. And she stood beside him. She was a lawyer, stood beside him, got him off and everything to find out he really was a murderer for real. Like, so yeah, that's an example of holding people down that you shouldn't.
People don't be knowing. Some people don't be knowing.
So holding people down, yeah.
Ignorance is bliss.
It varies. Me, I feel like it depends. Like I said, if I decided to be with you based on your situation, which I would hope not, but if I do that, then I probably would hold you down depending on how long you're going to be in there.
Yeah.
I knew what I was getting into, so.
That's a hard question because it depends on what the crime is.
Right, if you kill kids and stuff.
Like they put, yeah, like if you was
right, like if you were really twisted, then
like if you was
I'm not holding you down.
If you was keeping grannies in your basement, no,
man,
something's wrong with you.
That was an interesting question.
It was. It's a tough answer though. It depends. Like I said,
really, yeah. I don't know.
Depends on what they did.
Situational for sure. Okay, well.
What are we talking about? This next segment.
Right, you got to introduce it.
Hilarious. It's called Let's Get Real. What are we getting real about?
So we're going to talk about heartbreak today.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to talk about heartbreak just because I know it kind of, like, as I was, like, doing my little studying and preparing or whatever, I realized it refers a lot to, like, our individuality episode, our episode about trauma, but it's just more focused on actual heartbreak and not just this general umbrella of trauma, because I feel like heartbreak, it can make or break you, like, as far as who you become, all of those things, like the decisions that you make when you are heartbroken, that can change, the trajectory of your life. And I don't think it's taken as seriously as it should be. I think that some of us may use heartbreak as an excuse for behavior that we wouldn't normally do if we wasn't heartbroken. You know what I'm saying? And we don't realize that those certain decisions could change who we are. And I think we should be more serious about our heartbreaks and more serious about going through whatever that process is, and coming out, getting the results that you actually want that's going to better you. Because I think also, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I feel like a lot of the decisions we make could result in us changing for the worse, which I feel like correlates to the big singleness that we have in our culture. You know what I'm saying? Being alone and the singleness that's going on that I'm totally against. I wouldn't say that I'm against in the sense that you shouldn't be single, but I feel like we're relational beings and we're supposed to be in relationships. So sometimes I feel like heartbreak can keep us completely away from relationships. And obviously we're relationship advocates. So talking about heartbreak makes sense, right? Because if you're this person that uses as an excuse to never love again, you're kind of harming yourself. Because I feel like you're meant to be in relation and fellowship with people. And obviously this can keep you from doing that. So it was kind of a long introduction, but I always like to say why I want to talk about something. So yeah, I don't know if you had any thoughts about what I just said, but like I said, your heartbreak can change you for the better or worse. And someone had said that getting over a person. So if we're talking about, what we would normally see when people are heartbroken, we'll see all the physical things, like, them trying to forget and move on and do all the physical things, keep being functional, keep going to work, keep striving for greatness and things like that. Which I don't feel like we have any issue with. Like, as far as being heartbroken and we make decisions to, like, oh, I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna get this bag and all of that. But I think we skip the emotional step. I think we skip the feeling step.
Well, I think that is an emotional response. It's a response to pain. So when your body, and we all do this, when we sense danger, our go-to is, okay, I need to be in a safe environment. So what makes you feel safe is going to get the bag, focusing on your career, because it causes you to suppress the pain of the heartbreak. But what that causes is when you start to form relationships, because you didn't deal with the emotions of that heartbreak and heal from that heartbreak, all of your relationships are now constructed around it.
Yeah.
So the moment something happens in a new relationship, and it ain't even got to be romantic, it could be a friendship, whatever, it triggers that heartbreak. And so now you cut that off, and now you heartbroken about that. And now you heartbroken about the next thing because that didn't work out. You heartbroken about the next thing. And it can, like I said, it don't even have to be romantic. It can be relationships with your job, relationships with your parents, your siblings. And it's really a matter of getting back to a place of healing so you don't build a foundation in these relationships on the heartbreak.
Yeah. And I guess it's situational, from person to person. I feel like for certain people, if you were to focus on the outer things, like all the things that you can put on paper, jobs and careers and all of that, I think that could be, an emotional response. But I also think it can be a way to avoid emotions, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess when I said what I said, I was speaking on that, because we can talk about better, like we talked about in the individuality episode. That was basically what that was about, making sure you are who you're supposed to be and focusing on who you're supposed to be. And nothing's wrong with that. But I think that sometimes we can focus on that and not be focused on our internal self and not be working on ourselves internally. And I think that that's probably one of our biggest downfalls. Like, I feel like the physical part and, creating new memories, because as someone said, I forget what his name is, Jay Shetty or something like that.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be some type of expert.
He's dope.
Yeah, he's some type of expert
dope
in this. And he talked about how you should go through a heartbreak in a sense of treating the old relationship or the heartbreak like a chocolate cake when you're on a diet. Basically, get rid of its memories, and like kind of create new ones, kind of create more healthy things, whatever. But sometimes I feel like we do that, but we still aren't dealing with ourselves emotionally. So I guess that's the biggest part of this conversation that I want to talk about, is that emotional part. Like, are we taking care of that emotional side of the heartbreak? Allowing ourselves to feel the feelings and everything, and it not just being about us creating this persona, this new persona that we want, but what about how we feel and who we really are and all of that? So I think it's possible, obviously, that you're doing both. It's possible that your feelings and allowing yourself to feel everything is actually what's driving you to become this better person. That's great. But I think, I just speaking from my personal experience, and I see it all the time with friends and family members, we will have this focus on our careers and all of that, and we forget that there's pain that we've never really dealt with. We never really allowed ourselves to feel. So the whole diet thing, I thought that was dope. Creating new memories, treating like if I was to treat my ex like he was a chocolate cake, basically get rid of it. I get rid of all memories of him. But if I'm getting rid of all memories of him, isn't it more easier to not feel? Because I don't have the memories anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's allowing myself to not be triggered. Is that avoiding my pain? Could that be avoiding my pain? I guess is what I got out of it when you said it.
I think, though, if it's a trigger, you have to feel it. Because
Right.
how do you know what you're trying to avoid if you don't? So it's kind of like your
So is it really healthy to kind of like get rid of all your old memories from your heartbreaks?
no.
And that's what I'm saying. I guess that's the discussion because it's like
I think, though, it's the way we look at it. Is, are you going to allow this heartbreak to change your vision on relationships or things like that? Or are you going to use this as a lesson learned and get to know who you are in this thing? Because we're all going to go through heartbreak at some point. Mm-hmm. A lot of us dealt with heartbreak as children. That was our first heartbreak. Mm-hmm. And, of course, back then, we didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I think the thing with heartbreak, we get so caught up in trying to hurry up with the feeling instead of just letting it process.
Right. Yeah.
And I've been guilty of it myself because nobody wants to.
Queen of this.
Nobody wants to feel hurt. Nobody wants to feel pain, but that's a part of life. You can't escape that. However, now that I'm about to be 32, my vision on heartbreak and pain is different. My vision on, how I see pain is like, all right, I can't escape this feeling, but I know this feeling is going to make me better in some way. Like it's making me change courses. Mm-hmm. Maybe this happened for a reason.
Yeah.
Do I know what that reason is right now? No. And I'll know the reason once I deal with the pain.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I also do believe give yourself some grace, which means if you need to go, just step away for a while to get your mind off of it for a little bit, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Just don't get so caught up in trying to escape it that you don't go back to it.
Yeah. Because
at some point, you're going to have to deal with it. And it's better if you deal with it in its infancy than wait till it's in full grown and now you trying to battle this thing out.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know for me, immediately I wanted to feel better. And I thought that, I don't know if I thought that was the right thing to do or if I just feel like that was my immediate thought. As soon as I actually felt the pain, and it was actual physical pain. I don't know if I looked up the definition of heartbreak and it talked about it being actual like it was something I actually felt. It was, I don't know if it's kind of hard to explain, but it was like something in my gut. It hurted like for real. Yeah. It was a physical pain. So immediately I just wanted to feel better, like immediately. Instead of it being like, okay, I am in pain and let me just be in pain. Immediately, I wanted to feel better. So whatever made me feel good at the time, I was doing, which I think that's like one of the biggest reasons I wanted to talk about heartbreak today, because I think that leads to bad decisions. Could it lead to good decisions? I'm sure it could. You know what I mean? But for me, it led to bad decisions. It led to me wanting to numb myself. I didn't know I was numbing myself, but that's what I was doing. I thought I was taking care of it, by just kind of like just being a functional person, just going about my day and doing what I'm supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But really I was just trying to feel good when really a heartbreak is not for that. You're supposed to feel bad. You're supposed to be in pain. And again, I jumped to trying to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm really realizing that, like, okay, I did after a while. I did all the things,
Was
all
this
of the emotional things.
a recent pain or something from?
No. This was, my last relationship.
I got you.
This was almost a year ago. I would say it was probably a year ago because it was like July of last year. But it took me a while to realize, like, okay, I wouldn't say a while, maybe a few months, where I was like, okay, Jesse, you ain't dealt with anything. You were just out here living life. You're not dealing with the pain. And I think a lot of it, when it comes to avoiding pain and avoiding feelings, I think we do that because of ignorance, because we lack emotional intelligence. I don't necessarily believe that we do it on purpose all the time. Because, like I said, some of us may think because we're functional, because we're striving for goals, that we're doing what we're supposed to do. But we forget that there's an emotional side. And I think it's the lack of emotional intelligence that we have, which really studying emotion, I've been studying emotional intelligence for a while now. I'm still studying it. I realize I lack it a lot. And it really, emotional intelligence is just understanding your feelings and controlling them in a sense of basically, because intelligence is just like applied knowledge, like being able to apply this to a certain to a reality to get a certain result that you want. That's what basically intelligence is. So emotional intelligence is basically applying your emotions in a way that you still get a healthy result. Knowing how to control and understand your emotions in a way that creates this healthy result.
Right.
So I think I like that a lot. Like, I will make decisions based off my emotions and not really dive deep in them into a point. So an example, I think it was Jay Shetty again. He said Steve Jobs will go on a roof and scream. Like, he will make that a thing. He will go on top of the roof of his building and just scream at the top of his lungs. Like, that would be an example of emotional intelligence. Something that you do that allow yourself to feel, but it doesn't affect,
It doesn't fix it.
It doesn't create unhealthy behavior because you're allowing yourself to feel.
Yeah.
You're allowing yourself to get it out. Whether you go, maybe some people go to the gym. I put that I write in my journal. I don't know if that's working or not, but I feel like I can write anything in my journal. There's nothing left off the table. I can write anything in there. All the anger, all the sadness, so I get off my emotions by writing. And I'm not sure how it's helping or not. It's kind of like what do you call it? A test run for me. Do you have anything that you do like that kind of creates this kind of emotional intelligence, something that is a regular lifestyle thing where you can regulate your emotions?
For me, I have people that I talk to that I trust with certain information where I'm like, look, this is what's going on. I don't need you to fix it. I just need to get it out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to scream. It's not you. I'm just pissed.
Yeah.
Let me get this out. Or I'll go sit at the piano and I will literally play for 2 hours straight until I feel better. And however, quick pivot.
Mm-hmm.
But it also, and I've been thinking about this recently, what we find therapeutic, oftentimes we get we use that to escape the healing. Does that make sense?
Is that healthy? Yes, it makes sense.
Maybe at first it's healthy. However, if you continue to use that as an excuse to not handle the issue head on, what caused you the pain?
Because are you feeling the pain or are you feeling better? Are you feeling, because remember I just said that.
Well,
like,
yeah,
are we trying to feel better or are we allowing ourselves to feel bad?
I think
which is the better?
Feeling the pain gets you to better. However, I think oftentimes we get so caught up in trying to feel better, we use what we use to feel better to suppress the pain. Does that make sense? Because for me to get past the pain, I need to acknowledge what hurt me. Mm-hmm. Which for some people, it's very hard to do that.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to go back and relive that memory or, deal with that trauma.
Yeah.
For me, though, I think it's what helps you speed up the healing process. Because if you did hurt me, especially if we're friends and we have a relationship, then I need to come to you and be like, listen, what you're doing and what you did, that hurt me. Mm-hmm. And because I care about our friendship and I care about being the healthiest version of myself, I can't hold this in because it's killing me.
Yeah.
And I refuse to die early because you hurt me. Like, there comes a point in time you have to take responsibility for your own healing.
Yeah.
So I need to share with you, hey, this hurt me, and I'm not saying that I'm upset with you. I was at first.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you this so I don't harbor any internal feelings of hatred, of resentment, or anything like that, because I want to be the best version of myself.
Right.
Now, how you respond to that is on you.
Yeah.
But I'm sharing this because, like I said, I deserve to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
And I ain't dying for nobody. Jesus died for all of us, so I ain't got to. God bless you.
So venting, you feel like is a help, and that makes sense because it's basically like therapy.
Yeah, like, and venting is just getting it out.
Yeah, it's feeling.
Yeah,
literally
like
feeling in real time.
Like, it's not. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm okay when I'm not.
Yeah.
So I need to just get this out real quick.
Not being okay.
And it's okay not to be okay.
Right. So I put here that it's an autonomic state, which means it's an unconscious control. So being heartbroken is something that we unconsciously, it's guaranteed to happen. It's guaranteed to be to have this feeling, basically. And I just thought that was interesting because while it's very obvious, right, that it's automatic, that it's something that's unconscious, it's something that it's gonna happen. If I could control the fact that I was heartbroken from my last relationship, I would have definitely controlled it and stopped it, right? I couldn't stop it. It was just something that was there. And I just found that interesting because we are so good at suppressing something that is so. How is it that we can suppress? Like, I feel like it has to take so much energy that we're not even realizing to suppress something like that. That is very, it's like, it's guaranteed. You're guaranteed to feel something, but we are so, like, we can control suppressing it. I just think it's interesting that our body can say, you feel sad, but we can tell our body that we're not sad. And we can walk around like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Instead of it being like, your body is sad, you are sad, this is a sad moment. And the fact that we're able to just wipe that away and act like it's not there is actually amazing when you think about it. It's not amazing in a good way. It's just like an amazing when you think about it as far as neuroscience is concerned. Because just think about what you're doing to your brain. You know what I'm saying?
Because you're in flight mode. You are in flight mode. Your body is like, hey, something ain't right. We need to fix it now.
And you don't fix it.
But in your mind, because we're in flight mode, we think we're fixing it like that. Like, I just need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll come back to it later when I'm ready. But right now, this isn't safe.
Yeah.
So naturally, we're like, okay, how can I get to a place where I feel safe?
Yeah.
It's just how we naturally
our body
respond.
has no choice but to feel it, but we will suppress it. I just think that's when you really think about it, it's very powerful that we are able to do that. So it just speaks to how important choices are. You know what I'm saying? Because the fact that we are able to completely ignore our bodies just goes to show how important choices are and who we become and what we end up having. You know what I'm saying? Or not having.
Let me ask you this. How do you, I know we're talking about heartbreak, but what is your initial response to fear? Like, because
Shutting down. Paralysis.
is that like that's just like flight mode for you? It's just like,
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just like, yeah, it's not wanting to be fearful. And it's not even not wanting to be fearful. It's maybe just like allowing the fear to stop me, allowing the fear to not allow me to continue and persevere and do whatever it is I'm supposed to do. I do that in every aspect of my life. If fear will 100% paralyze me, I have to tell myself to get in motion. I have to force myself to get in motion. So yeah, I think naturally I get paralyzed by it. Why you ask?
That's interesting to me because I think with heartbreak it's the same way. But what's interesting is with pain, it's kind of like we have to tell ourselves, okay, heal. Like we need to get out quick. That's our natural instinct, right?
Yeah.
With fear, it's like you just said, you have to encourage yourself to like, okay, I got to get through this if I know this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting compare and contrast.
Like
it's like
between fear and heartbreak.
Fear and heartbreak, right? Which I think heartbreak will lead to fear of other things,
right?
To move forward.
Yes.
So that was it was just a question that popped in my mind.
Response?
I freeze.
Freeze. So paralysis a little bit for you too.
I backtrack, and then I get angry because I'm like, why am I afraid? And for real, like, where is this foundation of fear coming from?
Yeah.
Because other things I'm not afraid to do, but this,
yeah.
Like, why am I scared? What am I scared for?
You know, people say, like Kiki Palmer, she has said that fear is literally a made up thing. It's not real.
Yeah. However, I think
certain fear is healthy. Fear of the Lord is healthy, honey. I'm gonna just say that.
Yes. When it's interpreted correctly.
People fear the devil. I fear God, honey.
And the thing with that is, people use fear as like a scare tactic when it comes to God. The actual interpretation is respect.
Right.
But people use fear as like, oh, I can't.
But just think about the power of God, though. You should fear that in a way. That's a little scary.
Right. But what's even more scary to me?
Not a bad thing.
What's scary to me is that He has all that power and gave me power to choose what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's actually scarier than anything to me.
Yeah.
Because I know He has all power, and He gave me dominion to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Because I'm like, you. Is. But however, it gives me and we're kind of going off track, but we'll get back to it. It gives me a heart of gratitude because I'm like, dang, like you love me enough to trust me, not to control me, but to trust me and be like, I know you wilding out, but you'll be back.
Right.
Like, that's it. While it's scary, it gives me this heart of gratitude. Like, dang, you love me that much. Like, you trust me that much to be like you already know I'm gonna make this dumb decision.
Right.
And yet you still are like, but you still my son.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a shut up.
I thought that was my first. Like,
so with that, I mean, like, yeah, I get it. But back to heartbreak, I think it's like I said.
You were talking about how it's related to fear.
Yeah, it's the fight or flight thing, man. And our initial response is to fly away, like
to suppress our feelings. I think that's what ultimately, I think that's what's happening. Is that we focus on the doing than the being, how we talked about in one of our episodes. There's a difference between, the doing and the being. We can do all of these things and be the greatest of all these things, but we see greats as far as doers who are emotionally messed up.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't feel like our generation and our culture and, the people that we're speaking to, I don't feel like we have an issue in that area. I think our issue is more so internal. Our issues are more so the being of us. Our issues are more so the emotional part of us. We're so quick to jump on doing instead of allowing ourselves to feel. And I said, it seems that it makes sense that there's this domino effect with the heartbreak happens, we don't deal with it, we suppress the feelings, and then bad decisions comes after that. And then you have singleness and people less likely to get married. And like, it seems to be this very straight line to everything we don't want. So I just wanted to point out how important it is to feel, because us allowing ourselves to not feel, us suppressing feelings creates a different person. And then we wonder why we don't get to the places we want to go and we don't meet the people we want to meet. And, it's because we're not allowing ourselves to be human. We're not allowing ourselves to be who we really are.
Or we do meet these people and these opportunities comes and they go straight to hell because you're not in the fullness of who God has called you to be.
Yeah.
You're not your full, complete, healed self. So it's hard to really grasp onto these opportunities and the greatness that's in you because you still in flight mode and your go-to is to run. And you've made that such a habit because you won't deal with the traumas and the heartbreak and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I said earlier, now the foundation of your life is built on heartbreak, fear, trauma, and everything else. And it's not a stable foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Anything built on an unstable foundation will at some point fall.
Yeah.
I don't care. And the taller you build it, the more unstable it becomes.
Right. So yeah, the emotional side of it, it's very big for me. And I can't stress it enough. I feel like we got to start feeling. I don't know if anybody else struggle with that. I feel like I do. We have to start feeling more, man. Just allowing ourselves to feel things. Like that chasing a bag, that's one thing, but
I think it's interesting that for you, it's feeling, right?
yeah.
For me, it's expressing the feeling.
Okay.
So I will feel like if I'm angry, you gonna know it.
Yeah.
If I ain't in the mood, you gonna know it. If I'm not verbally saying it, trust me, my face, my energy, everything is saying it.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for me, based on the trauma that I've had and the heartbreak that I've had by doing this, is actually being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because my vulnerability has been used against me, which honestly is the quickest way to break my heart.
Yeah.
So if I open myself up, especially if we are in a relationship of some sort, which means I trust you, if I am vulnerable and you use that against me, it's hard for me to come back.
Yeah. And I think, again, it just goes to how I think a lot of us lack emotional intelligence. And I think that's an example. So, like, if you use vulnerability against someone, you don't understand the feeling. And I think that's probably why you're using it against them, because you don't even understand that this is a vulnerable moment. This is a moment that someone's being open and transparent, which is a noble, dope thing. But we will look at it like it's not, and we'll look at it as a weakness thing, and we'll look at it as a way to stigmatize each other, and make it seem like something's wrong with you and all of these things. Is that it first before? Is that what you mean by use it against you?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, you tell me something. I know I did that with my ex 1,000 times.
You use my vulnerability as a weapon against me.
Yes. And I think I did that because I didn't understand emotions like I do now. I didn't understand the importance of somebody, how monumental that is for somebody to trust you with their vulnerability, their naked, open self. If they trust you with it, that means they trust you with their feelings. They want validation of their feelings. It's not really for you to fix anything, like you said, which is the same thing. So for me, I know that I'm more of a fixer than a listener. Now I'm not. Now I'm trying to become different, right? Be more of a listener than a fixer. But I know, like in my situation with my ex, I stigmatized him a lot, but I wasn't intentionally trying to stigmatize him. I thought I was trying to help him. You know what I mean? Like, so you'll tell me something, a flaw of yours, you'll be open with me about something, you're vulnerable, and then something else will come up that will relate to that. And it's like, oh, see, you remember you told me this. So that to me, you being vulnerable, I used as evidence that something was wrong with you. So when we get into an argument, now I have all this evidence of you being vulnerable and telling me all these things. I have evidence like, oh, you're the problem. This is your situation. Go get help. You know what I mean? Type of thing, if that makes sense. And I think I only did that because I didn't understand the emotional side of what he was doing. I was just trying to be the fixer instead of it being, this is a feeling thing. A feeling thing can sit on its own. We don't always have to take it to a situation that has to be fixed. We should be able to just sit in our feelings and talk about our feelings and let it just be that, because that is a part of our human nature. And I think we kind of dilute that.
I'm gonna come back to that. Another way that it's used as a weapon, and most people don't talk about this because a lot of people don't think this is or don't even know this. It's when I am vulnerable and you completely ignore it.
Yep. That's happened to me 1,000 times.
And so when I express how I feel and you hit me with the, you tripping, that's great.
It'll be all right. Or
and it's just like,
or they'll like downplay it like, I mean, well, you could try this or try that.
Or they gaslight you like how your feelings aren't valid. Like I'm just making this up out of the clear blue, even though some people do. Some people do. I ain't gonna hold you.
I might have did it once or twice.
We're going to talk about that later on. And did that really happen? Okay.
Oh my God.
But there are people who will literally look at you and you're expressing how you feel and be like, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
Which is a complete narcissist, by the way.
Yeah.
Because they're saying their reality and your reality has to be the same in order for it to make sense to them.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was good.
Inserting yourself, period. That is like one of the biggest things that I realize that I do that I hate doing now. Like to the point where it's like I probably should insert myself sometimes, but I don't because I hate that I used to do it so much. Like somebody coming to me with their issues and I'll just insert myself, whether I'm relating to it. It's just like all of that, I don't know what you call it. Narcissist, I don't know what it is, but I just feel like it's all bad listening. It's all...
I think with that though, some people do it so they also know, hey, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Like you're not an anomaly in this.
Yeah.
Or you're not a monolith. Like I've gone through this also.
Yeah.
So just so you know, you're not in this alone.
Yeah.
Now there are other people who will insert themselves because they haven't dealt with their own thing.
Or it's like mine was worse. So yours is like, because mine, listen, you lost your mom, I lost my mom and my dad. Like, that's invalidating feelings.
Right. The it can always be worse mentality.
Yeah.
It's the most toxic
It's dismissive.
thing.
It's so dismissive.
Yeah, you feel that way, but
And
it can
honestly,
always be worse.
I think that's probably the biggest reason I'm not vulnerable with people, because I feel like it's never taken seriously. Because first of all, I'm not very vulnerable. So anybody I'm around, if I'm vulnerable to them, they don't even recognize it. Like, I feel like a normal person or, somebody who's vulnerable all the time would recognize it. Like with me and my ex, he was vulnerable a lot. I wasn't. So when he was vulnerable, it was just like, I didn't handle it correctly, but it was still like normal. And when I was vulnerable, he was looking at, I don't think he even realized that I was vulnerable because I rarely was vulnerable. So in the 2 years that we were together, I probably was vulnerable like 5 times. And each time he completely dismissed it because he probably didn't even realize that's what it was. Like that was a time to listen. That was a time to, and
And
I realized like for me, that's what made me like not even want to do it. Because a lot of times you'll try to be vulnerable with people and they just don't like. It's what was the point? Like you don't.
and I will say this about us men. Normally I don't really like generalizations, but there are some things us men have in common.
I think there's a lot of things, but okay.
I mean, like emotionally. Most times we aren't aware of, like, you have to talk to us like, especially when it comes to women, we don't know what it is to be like that.
Yeah.
So you got to talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Like,
Yeah.
like, hey, this is me being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I need you to, like, hey, like, I
Yeah.
need you to listen.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, we've never seen you do this before, so we
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
what this looks like.
Yeah.
So you're gonna repeat yourself at least 1,000,000,000 times, depending on
Yeah.
how long you're together. But you have to also be aware, even in your vulnerability, like, okay, you're not catching what I'm saying. So let me tell you what I'm doing right now,
Right.
so I can bring you down here, because you way up here and you thinking you just got to be right.
Yeah.
It's not about right or wrong.
Yeah.
This is just how I feel.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to communicate that with you.
Yeah.
Now,
And that's all emotional intelligence, I feel like. Or
Yeah.
just being aware of your feelings, understanding them. That'll help you in relationships, obviously, right? Because you're able to do that, right? Me and in the situation, like with my last relationship, I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I go back now and look, I'm like, oh, that was a time where, that could have been a game changer for me to be more comfortable being vulnerable, but it didn't because it was shut down
Right.
and all of those things. Dang, I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah. Oh, that was just saying that it's just an example of emotional intelligence, being able to understand your feelings so that you can explain them, so that you can, so whatever that you want to happen out of that vulnerability, you can explain that.
right.
Yeah. So I just think emotional intelligence is very important, and I think that we sleep on it. We focus on everything else, but our emotions is a part of our DNA. It's not going anywhere.
No.
And at what point did it, like, I feel like, 'cause when I was in high school, I didn't have this problem. Like, I was an emotional wreck. Like, I will cry at the drop of a dime right in the classroom. I would be so emotional, so vulnerable. Like, I didn't care if like, I had a boyfriend in high school. He would break up with me. Everybody knew I was sad about it. I never tried to hide it. At what point do you feel like it got to a point where it was like, it wasn't cool to be sad about a breakup? Like, it was more cool to get out here and on to the next. Like, what happened to us?
I actually remember the day it happened to me.
To what? Like, it not being cool to be emotional no more?
No, where I became emotionless. I remember the exact day. It actually happened it was my first heartbreak in high school.
You became emotionless in high school? Wow.
It was actually, I just graduated, and she broke up with me 2 days before my birthday.
Oh.
And I felt it all. And my go-to was, all right, I'm never going to experience this again. I'm done. I'm good.
Oh.
Like, I never want to feel this again.
Yeah.
And so, and as a kid, I don't know what I'm doing to myself.
Yeah.
I'm just in flight mode, like, and so, yeah.
So for you feel like, I'm sorry, did you need another thought?
No, I was just gonna say, it was just a matter of, I cried, heart was broken, and I was like, cool, I don't care about nothing. Like, I don't care what people think of me. I don't care. Now, that part is still true. Now, but other things it was like a domino effect.
Yeah.
It was just like the moment I felt heartbreak, my go-to was to just be like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
Cool. Like,
So for you, it wasn't like a trend thing. It was more so like an experience just created this emotionless person.
yeah. And it
Which
was,
we just talked about that, like how heartbreak changes you and it can change you for the worse if you don't deal with your emotions. And that was an example, right?
and it started from, I was just a kid in high school, just graduated.
Yeah.
First heartbreak. And I mean, I ain't talked to nobody, do nothing, felt the whole thing. But my response to it was, well, I'm just not going to feel.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I agree with you. Like I'm kind of, I guess I'm kind of like stuck in like the now mode where it's like, it's now cool. It seems to be a trend to be emotionless, but you kind of took it to the root. Like it's really from experiences, you know, experiencing heartbreak and allowing that to change your beliefs and thoughts and feelings about certain things, which that makes sense, right? I feel like that's probably is what it came from. Now it's cool, but it's really us crying for help. You know, the first person to say, I don't want a relationship, I don't want love and all that, they want love the most.
right. Or they hit you with the, I don't need nobody.
Yeah.
No. Then
That means you experience abandonment.
Yeah. And it's just like you are running away from everything, man. Like you need people, you need relationships. Heartbreaks are just, and that's what I had to learn too. Like this stuff is just gonna happen,
It's gonna happen.
whether you like it or not.
it's like, man, Lord.
You cannot escape it, but it's for the betterment of you. And what sucks, it sucks so bad. All of it sucks. 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna be your fault.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
So, studies show that heartbreak and grief from death are the exact same.
I had that thought earlier.
Isn't that nuts? I think that's nuts.
Thing.
It's the exact same thing.
The exact same thing.
They still there, but it's treated. It's literally in our brains. As far as our brains is concerned, a loss is a loss.
Right. And
I think that's deep.
And that's what heartbreak is. You're grieving the loss.
I remember
of
you was telling me that when I broke up with my ex.
Like you're in a grieving process right now.
Yeah.
And you just have to be like, you can't run from it. Like when I lost my grandfather earlier this year, man, it was so hard.
Yeah.
Because that was my guy. Like,
yeah.
And I remembered everything from when he married my grandmother to the day he passed.
Yeah.
And it was just like all these memories came flooding back. And I remember like, man, like that's all I got now.
Yeah.
Because he's not here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and then you get hit with the, man, I should have called more.
Yeah.
I should have done more. I should have went to go see him more because now he's not here.
All the emotions come up, and
it's all heartbreak, and it sucks, and it's the grieving process.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because studies may show us the exact same, but it's not treated the same at all.
Yeah, I would agree.
So,
some cases.
I think some of us take death hard. We feel that.
Yeah.
But we take breakups way lighter, right? Maybe not all of us, but I think majority of us, and I think there's I think in front of it, majority of us take death way harder, take grief of loss of a person that's no longer in this on this earth anymore way harder than a breakup. When studies show our brains is looking at it the exact same way. So why am I stressing that? I'm stressing that because we obviously need to probably be treating breakups in that same seriousness that we treat grief of death.
Yeah, because the relationship is dead now.
Right. And I just think that, that's monumental for me for whatever, because y'all know I like to study the brain and all of that. Whatever's going on in your brain during a death, when you're grieving a death, that same exact thing is going on in your brain when you're grieving someone that you broke up with or vice versa. Just so to know that for me lets me know how important it is to feel and go through that process that you're supposed to go through. Whatever you feel from the breakup, you're supposed to allow yourself to feel it. No different than the death thing. I don't know if people are familiar with, I don't know if you're familiar with, what is the show called? All American. And he had lost at least like 3 people. And the last person he lost was his coach, which was like a big father figure to him, but he lost his father beforehand.
Right.
When he lost his coach, he like shut down. He never dealt with it. He had to go see a therapist. A therapist had to bring it out of him where he finally broke down and was like, yes, I'm sad I lost my coach. But before then, he was just going on with life, like trying to go on with life. But he had all these stuff pent up, right? And I just thought that was interesting because let that have been a bad breakup. Would all of his family and friends been at his door making him go to therapy, making him do? Probably not.
Right.
So then when I say we treat it differently, that's what I mean, right? You gotta, you got people that, you gotta deal with this. You gotta feel the pain when it comes to grief of a death. But then you have those same friends ready to take you to the club instead of allowing you to feel as far as the breakup goes. So I put here, some of us take death hard and breakups lightly. I said there's trends of treating breakups lightly. It's plenty of fish in the sea. Have a backup. Celebrating breakups. I think this is all suppression.
And I think I shared this before. I'm going to say it again. When someone's grieving, it is not your responsibility to fix them at all.
I think it's the lack of grieving that people try to fix, right? As far as when I was talking about the Spencer James and the All American, he wasn't grieving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They made him grieve.
Yeah.
But if he broke up with his girlfriend and was severely heartbroken and he wasn't grieving about that, would they have made him, right? Is basically the point I was making.
And I think when anyone is grieving, whether it's a breakup, a death in a family, or a loved one, it's like I said, though, whatever they want to do, if you love them, do it with them. So if they want to cry, cry with them. If they want to laugh and joke around and laugh with them. But what you cannot do is try to speed up their process of getting over it. Because you feel like, well, you're not being yourself. No, they are being themselves.
Yeah.
You're just not used to seeing them in this particular part of themselves.
Yeah.
But it's like it's the lack of emotional intelligence. It's just you are so unaware that one day this will be you.
Yeah.
And you're going to want people to show up for you the way you want them to.
Yeah.
But for some reason, you just not making the connection of you're not showing up for this person who's grieving right now because you trying to make it about you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so when I was talking about, the trends of breaking up, the trends of how we take breakups lightly, like, plenty of fish in the sea, all of those things, celebrating a breakup, immediately going to the club, immediately, doing all of those things. It made me think about, okay, even as the person who's not heartbroken and as the friend or the family member of the person that's heartbroken, like, how are we with that? It's not always about you're the heartbroken person. Make sure you feel everything, blah, blah, blah. But also you can be on the other side of this and be the best friend of the person that's heartbroken. And you're the one that's basically pushing them to, oh, you good.
Yeah.
You pretty. You'll find another dude. Da, 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 da. It's like, are we good heartbreak supporters?
Somebody told my grandmother, and they did a very good job of not telling me who it was. Somebody told my grandmother when my grandfather passed, oh, you get over it. You've been a widow before.
What?
Yeah.
God.
He said, oh, you've been a widow before, so it'll be all right. Let me help y'all understand something.
Lack of emotional intelligence there.
And just full of stupidity. It's like, are you that unaware that someone is going through this, that you trying to push them to who you know them to be on a daily basis. This whole person's world just changed.
Right. What are you talking about?
And this is what the crazy part about grieving. Their world has changed while the world around them is still going.
Yeah.
So you still have to go to work.
Yeah.
And grieve. You still have to show up and grieve. There is no, everybody grieves differently. However, if you are a friend, if you are the best friend, it is your job to show up for them the way they need you to and shut the hell up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not about who they were before this happened. You need to show up to who they are right now.
Yeah.
It's not saying they won't get back to the person you knew. But right now, their world has changed. And for you to come in and pretend like your world is just perfect and their world has to match your world, that's selfish. That's ignorant. Like,
right.
It's not, the world doesn't revolve around you.
Right. And it doesn't make, it's dismissive of the person's feelings, right? You know, to say, you'll get over it. First of all, yeah, I probably will at some point where I'm okay, I guess. Maybe not get over it, but I might be okay one day, yes. Okay? However, when a person is feeling bad about something, no matter what it is, but I would assume to the extent of a grief of a loss of a person, like for real, like death, that feeling right there is not worried about in 3 years from now, I'm going to be okay. They are feeling the moment right there. Like my daughter, when she gets her hair done, she is very tender-headed and she will be like acting crazy sometimes. Like, oh, this hurts, it hurts, it hurts. And I will always say, or her hairdresser will always say, we're almost done. And every single time one of us will say that, she will say, I don't care. It hurts.
Right.
Which makes sense. Because it's like, I don't care that I'm almost done. I don't care that you're on the last braid. It hurts right now. That's the only thing that I want to talk about.
Right.
Which makes sense. So to say, oh, I'm going to get over it, yeah, that might be true, but it has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
The feelings is still there. The now is still there. And that's probably one of the biggest things I think that we forget is the now part. You know, we be so stuck on, that's why I think we go, oh, let me go chase the bag. Let me go chase this career. Let me go chase this. Because we so ready to be over it, right? We're so ready to jump to a year from now. No, today is today. You're going to deal with today. You can't jump to a year from now. That's not how it works. You got to feel in that moment. Be in that moment. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's what we skip. You know, and we skip that. And like I said, are we good heartbreak supporters? Because we always like to skip to, oh, let's go celebrate. Let's go act single. I only been single for 5 hours. I don't really feel single, but I'm going to go act it. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go. For what? I'm trying to jump to this person when the now is here. The now still needs to be addressed.
Because we're in a world full of pretenders. It's so easy to play pretend. We've been doing this since we was kids. And what we don't realize, and you know, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong to play pretend. Like there's actors out there. I'm an actor. We play pretend all the time. However, if you are not careful, that will go into your real life and real relationships and how you deal with grieving a loss. I've gotten to the point in my life, I ain't pretending for anybody.
Right.
I refuse.
Yeah.
If I'm not feeling it, you gonna know.
Yeah.
If don't want to go, you gonna know.
Yeah.
But
you have to be self-aware, right?
Yeah.
Because like I'll listen to you and the things that you'll say, and you sound extremely self-aware of yourself. But then you'll have some people who they have no idea that they didn't deal with their heartbreak. They have no idea that they're still affected by certain things. They have no idea that they are not handling their heartbreak correctly. They think that they're feeling things because they get a little sad here and there, but nope, gotta go, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta jump, gotta go. And they ain't dealing with anything, but they might think they are because they're succeeding outwardly.
Yeah.
Externally. So I think, and I guess that's one of the reasons why we want to have conversations about this stuff, because a lot of the stuff that I'm realizing about myself, meaning there was a point in time where I didn't know. Right? So I think that's the whole point, right, of this platform. That's the whole point of this podcast, the whole point of these discussions, because sometimes we don't know that we're self-sabotaging. We don't know that we're not grieving. We don't know that we're not being emotional. We think we're doing things, we try to act like what other people are doing doesn't affect us when it does. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? A lot. There's a trend. How does a trend happen? A trend happens because people do what other people do. So we can't act like we're not doing what other people doing, but when we see that there's trends, a trend would never be a such thing as a trend if we didn't copy each other and do what everybody else does.
Right.
So yeah, I put here, this could be related to a substantial amount of singleness in our culture, or could it be related to? And I think I already said that. I think a lot of the stuff we talk about, obviously, is probably very high correlated with the singleness and the lack of marriages and the lack of marriages lasting and the likelihood of us getting married, those high percentages, especially in our culture. I think that this is, one of the reasons. And, Dave said it earlier, like, when I got heartbroken, immediately, I didn't want to feel this again. But it's our lack of feeling the heartbreak is what makes us not want to go through it again, which is ironic, really, when you think about it. Like, I didn't feel, and I didn't allow myself to feel, but I know that I don't want to feel it again. How does that even work? Right. You know what I'm saying? I just think that's interesting. Studies show that women take it harder than men, relationships, but there's a flip side to that women, they may take it harder than men, but we supposedly come out a better person.
Ours is just delayed.
We actually recover better than men, supposedly, according to the study. And this is all, I think this is, I want to say this. No, this wasn't Jay Shetty. This was a neuroscientist that I was looking at. And he talked about studies that he's researched. And normally I would go to the actual study that they reference and look at it myself. I didn't this time. But, it's just something to throw out there. I don't know if it's true or not. Basically, men, they don't take relationship breakups as hard as women, but at the same time, they almost never recover from them, which is crazy.
Which to me, we take it just as hard. Or it's just, the timing is just delayed.
It's delayed, or do you basically are saying women recover from heartbreaks? Men don't. So men more suppress and women more express.
We do. It's just y'all, it hits y'all at an earlier time. Men, our ego gets in the way. Like, all right, it is what it is. We moving on.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks later, we are the most depressed. We are the most sad.
Yeah.
And we feeling everything because it's you don't know what you had until it's gone.
Yeah.
And so you miss the moments, you miss the thing. And so now we're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say men don't recover. It just takes us longer to recover because the time is just delayed of when we chose to feel it or when it hit us.
Yeah.
So our natural instinct as men is to be like, no, we good.
Because I hear people all the time, especially men, they will talk about how men literally take heartbreak way harder than women. So it's interesting that there are studies that show that women, but it's, and that's why I said I normally go back and look at the study to see what factors they measured and stuff like that. And I didn't this time, which is part of the reason I needed more time this morning. It really wasn't me being asleep. I just needed more time to. So I kind of cut corners because I did this morning instead of the day before like I normally do. I just thought that was interesting. I think, like you said, it's delayed. It might make sense that men take it way harder because they almost never recover, or it takes them way longer to recover. To me, that means they take it way harder than us. Because you'll have men that say, and I don't know how true it is, but they'll say like women will jump to the next guy, way quicker than a man would jump to the next woman, as far as relationships.
Yeah.
So I don't know who takes it harder. We might all take it the same. But if we never recover, then, That's a bigger issue in itself. I just thought it was interesting to see like, oh, women take it harder, but we recover better, but men take it less hard, but they don't recover.
It's all about.
That's very interesting
It's
statistic
all
to me.
about timing. It's the timing.
Yeah,
of
it's
it
the
all.
timing. It does make sense. It does make sense. So I have a question. And this question I did not come up with myself. I think it's a dope question. It came from my daughter's dad. I think he wanted to like start like, this is a long time ago. He wanted to start like a little documentary where he interviews people and asks this specific question to get people's thoughts. So Dave, is it better to have had love and lost it, or not at all, or not have love at all?
Have love and lost it.
Why do you think it's better?
Because you need to know whether you lost it or not. You're going to know what love feels like. You got to know. You have to know. Because there's no way in this world you can say that no one's ever cared about you. No one's ever shown up for you. And so I think it is better to have love than lost because it means you're human.
Yeah. But so what happens when so I guess what do you think the distinctive difference is as far as what's better, right? Because you lost the love, right? You had it, but you lost it. So right now you lost love that you had. Compare that feeling to not having love at all.
So not having love at all, my question would be, why would you want to go through life not knowing what love feels like? Not having love at all. That's not living.
Yeah.
You're not living. You're not even building relationships.
Yeah.
You're literally a robot. You're a machine maneuvering in this world.
Yeah.
But to love means you have some sort of life in your body.
Yeah.
And you are going out in the world and you are trying.
Yeah.
You're trying. That's what that is. That's why I believe it's better.
Yeah.
Because it proves that you are human. It proves that you are a human that feels. And it proves that you are out in this world trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
There's no way you can go through this life trying and not feel love at some point.
Yeah.
Now, will you lose it? Yeah, that's life. You're going to lose some people you love, whether it's way later in life and, you know, they pass away and you're grieving that, or something happens between you two and the friendship, the relationship is just broken and you're going to grieve that.
So just imagine yourself imagine yourself and how that would feel to have love and lost, right? And then imagine yourself as far as how you would feel to not even experience love so you don't experience loss. Do you think that type of pain is the same, or do you think one feels worse than the other? And it feeling worse than the other is not an indication of what's better either.
Right.
This is a different question.
I think it's, of course, it's gonna feel worse when you have loved and then lost. It's gonna be way worse.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what it feels to lose the love if you don't love at all.
Yeah.
So how do you know what that's gonna feel like?
And that's why I think it's a dope question. Because when you're thinking about the feeling, the question changes a little bit for you, because it's like, for me, as far as better, me, the person I'm trying to grow into, would say what Dave said initially. But me right now, and knowing myself and how I numb myself and how I refuse to feel and how, all of these things that I'm working on, it's better to not get love at all, to me, because I'm not feeling bad about it. You know what I'm saying? But I guess that's the whole point of the whole episode today is, yes, it feels worse. But again, you're not living, you're not growing, you're creating a narrative that doesn't get you to where you want to go. I can't say I'm the type of person that wants traditional marriage, wants a relationship, wants a long-term relationship, wants a family, white picket fence, and all of that stuff. But I'm also the type of person that says I don't want to love at all. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'd rather not. So you have to understand, like, you're the type of person that you want a relationship, you want a marriage, but you advocate not loving. You advocate is putting a fish in the sea. You advocate not feeling things. When that's just the complete opposite of what is going to actually get you to where you want to go as far as getting into relationships and actually fulfilling relationships, if allowing yourself to feel and be. So I just think it's a dope question because, again, I completely disagree with Dave. To Jazzy I am today, it's better to not have love at all because I don't got to feel any of the stuff that we talked about today, which sucks really badly. And it sucks way worse because, honestly, my last relationship prior to high school, if I'm excluding high school and it's only my adulthood, my last relationship was the only time I experienced love. Real love. Where it's like a genuine pain to have lost it. So before he came along, I was cool. All the breakups, I was good. I didn't really affect me like that.
Honestly, though.
So when I look back on that, I was fine. I wasn't. Knowing me now, me being emotionally intelligent now, me being self-aware, me doing introspection, before my previous relationship, I was in the worst shape. But at the time, I thought I was doing, I'm good. I've never been in love. I ain't never cried over no dude. I used to brag about that. Never made me cry. I've always been good, Gucci.
And that's the thing, though. That's how you know you are fully functioning as a human being.
Yeah.
Because if everything is good all the time, something's wrong.
Yeah.
But the moment you feel the heartbreak, the moment you feel the pain, that's when you know you are functioning right.
Yes. Yes.
Which is why I say it's better. I do not want to go through this life.
Yes. It has to be better, but it's just not at the same time.
And it sucks. But however, because I know how I love and I love unconditionally.
Yeah.
And I expect that from everybody else.
Yeah.
Seeing the way that I show up for people and how they feel when I do.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling than that.
Yeah.
Because I love people. I don't like all of them.
Yeah.
But I love them.
Yeah.
So if I need to show up, I'm showing up. And that makes people feel so good. And it makes me feel good when those who I know unconditionally love me and who check on me and make sure I'm good. Like Jazzy will tell you, you can call me at 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm picking up. What's going on?
Yeah.
What do you need?
Yeah.
Because I love people like that, especially my people.
Yes.
And those people will at some point, if not already, hurt me.
Yeah.
And I may say something or not. But the point is, that's how I know I'm fully functioning right, is because not everything is great. Not everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Not everything is right.
Right.
So
emotions are up and down. Meaning your life is going to be up and down. Your feelings is going to be up and down. Your thoughts are going to be up and down. So if it's all just stagnant plateau, something going on. Something ain't being dealt with. Something is being suppressed. So yeah, I guess that's the message for today. To allow yourself to feel, man. Feel.
Feel all of it.
Expression over suppression.
Yes, and we're going to take a quick break because the way my bladder is right now, woo.
That was the end of that segment, though. But we can.
That was a great talk, though.
That was
great talk.
Great conversation.
This next segment is called "Did That Really Happen?" And I want to talk about this one young lady. When y'all listen to this, of course, this will be old news, but I don't care. I just want us to give our opinions on it.
Okay.
This young lady named Carlee.
I didn't look into that story yet.
Oh, my Lord.
Educate me.
So, beautiful young black woman. Let's just start from the top. Okay? Let's see. Where was it? All right. So what happened? Carlee Russell was at work. She's Birmingham, Alabama. That's where this all happened. She got off at 8:20 p.m. on July 13th. Stopped and got some food, whatever. At 9:34 p.m., she calls 911, says that she sees a sighting of a child on the road, walking on the road. She calls her brother's girlfriend and says she was stopping to check on the child. And then, like, in the middle of the call, she lost contact with her brother's girlfriend. But the phone was still, I guess she was still on the call. And the girlfriend said she then heard what they thought was somebody scream, followed by traffic noise. And according to, like, the traffic cameras, they saw, like, Carlee Russell had stopped on the side of the road. Now, fast forward, people think she's missing. Like, sends out an alert, all the things.
So she wasn't missing?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
Local, state, and federal law enforcement, the FBI, got involved. They joined the family and friends.
FBI?
The family and friends went out on this wide search to find this girl.
Where the heck was this girl at?
To the point where, like, everybody, it was like on the Shade Room, celebrities posting all these things. An anonymous donor put forth $20,000, and Crime Stoppers put an additional $5,000 reward to find her, to just make sure she's safe, right? All of a sudden, when was it? July 15th, 2 days later. She
Wait, hold up.
returns
This is 2 days after what?
after she goes missing. So it was 2 whole days that she was
I thought
missing.
you wasn't even allowed to report somebody missing until after then.
2 days later, July 15th,
That's already don't even make sense. But
Carlee returns home on foot.
I don't know why I'm laughing. I just feel like this is funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
She just come home, casually use the key.
Now, of course, there has to be an investigation because this thing done blew up. Parents on the news saying somebody done took their kid, their daughter. Everybody searching, making posts, all that. They look at the surveillance footage. And they saw, she called and said that somebody had reported. She made a call that she saw a child on the road. Surveillance footage shows there is no child on the road at all.
So who called about the child being on the road?
She did.
And who child was it?
There was no child.
But who child was she claiming it was? Just a random child?
It was a random child.
So how does that have to do with her disappearance? I guess is what I'm trying to
So
understand.
they're trying to say the child was a decoy for somebody to snatch her up.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
got you. Okay.
So
But there wasn't no child. So what the
okay. They looked at the surveillance footage, right?
My brain hurt.
They said she was like reportedly in a state of shock. Now, let me pause there and say this. Everybody responded the way they were supposed to. Like, people were concerned about this girl. And I really hope this doesn't like desensitize us to be like somebody missing they lying. I really hope that doesn't happen.
Well, I think
Because niggas be lying, we know.
again,
But
it doesn't make sense because there is a legally you can't report anyone missing until after a certain amount of time. And this is why. This is the reason why there's a law in place.
Well,
so the whole story doesn't make sense to me.
This went out. It got too big. It was just at this point, you got to go look for the girl. And I think the way they said it, the way they set up the story was like, we heard her on the phone. We heard screaming. So they probably was just like, all right, we got to go find this girl. So
Oh, because they actually thought that she was taken. So that's
Yes,
different.
they
That might
thought
be different.
She was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
So, like I said, they had to investigate. Y'all, this girl, they went through her phone and her computer. This is where it gets funny. They found internet searches that are very relevant to the case on her phone and her laptop. They found on July 11th, she searched on the internet, do you have to pay for an Amber Alert or search?
What?
That's just the beginning. On the day of her alleged abduction, she searched how to take money from a register without being caught. She also searched for a one-way bus ticket from Birmingham to Nashville, departing that day. She then searched. This is where I got weak, because I'm like, you really did your research on this. She searched for the movie Taken.
So she made this up. She wanted to. Okay, so what was the reason?
She made it all up.
Why?
She didn't give an answer. Why.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
She didn't give an answer
I
why.
had it within my
And you're right.
platform.
She did not give a reason. They won't even let the girl talk. They said, until the girl is in a good mental state, she will not be saying anything.
We need to actually assess your brain real quick to make
When
sure
I
you don't have a
tell
mental disorder.
you
Because this is a mental disorder. What's happening
there
here?
was no child. They went through the girl's phone. And okay. Cause I'm baffled by this. I'm
Right?
also like salty because I'm like, nigga, I prayed for you. Like that was a wasted prayer. Like what?
God knew.
I'm like, God, you could have gave me them 3 minutes back. Like, just
Could have told me, like, yeah, she don't worry
like,
about her.
this is a wasted prayer. Don't even worry about it. But like, I know where she is. Don't.
I know exactly where she at.
It's
and
cool.
she knows exactly where she is.
Yes, she does. She knows.
She be back.
She knows exactly what she's doing. Her and Jussie Smollett got a thing going on.
So what the parents say, there's no interviews with the parents or nothing?
They still believe somebody took their child
And brought her back?
and brought her back.
Okay, so her mental disorder is, she got it honest. Okay, got it.
Listen, people.
So that's what the whole uproar is about, because people was going off about her, and I'm like, what happened?
She got
Like,
fired
I've
from
never
her. She
even
got fired from her job.
looked into it.
Got fired from her job. Which, if I was her boss, I'd fire her too. Because I'm like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And you can't be working
You're
here
not
doing
mentally
that.
stable.
And I just, people are so interesting. Because it's like, I've always said this, and I still believe it to be true. If you going to be stupid, at least be smart about it.
Yeah.
You Googled all this stuff the day before and the day of. And then you went as far as like getting out of your car and leaving it running, pretending
You know
like
what? That's probably why she did it, to be famous. She probably wanted to be known.
you want attention.
She wanted to be famous.
You want attention. Nobody's giving it to you. Your life is boring, so you
Yeah.
wanted to do this, which means you need mental help.
Yeah. I think that was on like one of those crime shows, like Criminal Minds or something. They found the serial killer and like everything. When they found the serial killer, they found out that the serial killer wanted to be found. And they basically found out they was doing
It's a
all
game.
this just to be a known person.
It's a game
To be
to
like
them.
a legendary.
And I really
That's
want.
nuts.
First of all, it made me realize I'm not in tune with the Lord as I thought I was. Because I wish he would have told me, hey, this ain't what you think it is. Go ahead and go back
Fame could be a mental disorder.
go.
Fame is an addiction. Fame is a drug.
Of course, it's a drug. The moment, what? You mean all the attention I was getting during this movie run was like,
Yeah.
it's an adrenaline rush. Like,
It makes sense.
but I have a a cure for it. It's called I don't like people. So, and I don't like. Yeah, I just don't like people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really happened. People are
That really happened.
very interesting. Listen, if you want attention, go see a therapist.
They give you all the attention.
If you want
way more than you actually want.
If you want attention,
What's wrong with just posting on social media like everybody
I was just about to say.
Try to go viral.
Become a content creator. Do something. Like, there's so many ways now you can get attention. Do dumb stuff. There was this challenge where white people was falling off of tall things into a tree and plummeting to the ground because they thought it was fun. Went viral many a times. I'm not saying do that because white people crazy, but I'm saying like you could think of something.
But I don't know. This might have been a little smart move because listen,
Ain't nothing smart about this.
You make money off of stuff like this.
Not her. She's going to jail. This is against the law.
Okay, so let me tell you something. You can go to jail.
And you can still make money. I get it.
Here's the thing. You sell your life.
But they ain't giving that black girl money for that. Not this black family.
We'll see. Because it ends up being documentaries. Who do you think makes them?
Anybody can make a documentary. I can make a documentary about it right now.
People pick up stories like this.
I can make a documentary.
People pick up stories like this and create money from it all day. This is
But
a
she
money
ain't gonna see
story.
it.
She would have to if she doesn't have good representation, if she doesn't have a lawyer, if she doesn't have somebody in place that will make sure she gets things, you know what I'm saying? Because she has to sell her story. I'm sure there is a way for people to do it without her.
That girl ain't
but
gonna
she
look
can
up.
sell her story. She can sell this
That girl
story.
it's already a story. And what's there to sell?
Behind the scenes, I'm trying to tell you, people will watch this stuff. People will watch
I'm sure they
documentaries
will.
about this stuff.
I will definitely watch this documentary and
Exactly.
laugh my butt off. That don't mean she getting money from it.
She could. Because people do this stuff. I'm trying to tell you, people do this stuff. So it makes sense. I don't know if she was looking that deep into it, like, oh, I can make money off of this. People just be wanting fame without the money.
I don't know.
But
I don't
at the
even
same
think she
time,
was looking for fame. I think she's looking. The girl just need help. I don't even know like what would prompt you to even do this. But it is what it is.
I think she was looking for fame. What else would it be?
I don't know. She probably want attention. Maybe not fame. She probably want attention from her mama, daddy. Somebody ain't giving it to her that she wanted from. So
I mean,
I
that
don't
might be
know.
the root, but we're just talking about the surface level of what she's doing now. It just seems like she wanted to be known.
well,
And she did a good job. She succeeded.
well.
Good job.
I want to see if I would have known they was giving $25,000 to find that girl. I would have went to Memphis to Birmingham myself and looked for that. Birmingham ain't that big, so yeah.
This is why I don't even read into stories like this. If stories that go viral really annoy me, I just rather not even.
I just thought it was funny. I'm like, this girl thought of it, not all, because it. I just want to know, like, when did you decide to go home? Like, what made you want to go home? Like,
You know, it's just like that movie Gone Girl. Instead of divorcing her husband, she pretended she died and got kidnapped and all of that. People do stuff like this.
They do, but I'm like, what made you want to go home? Like, oh, it's cold out here, or I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go home. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, whatever. It
Yeah.
was really none of my business.
Shout out
However,
to Carlee, girl. You got what you wanted.
I'm not shouting you out. Something wrong. Go get help. That's what I'll tell you.
She will in prison. She probably will. If she do it the right way, you can get help in prison.
Yeah, you could, but I don't know. I'm gonna pray for you though.
I'm about to say
I'll
it probably
pray for
wasn't
you.
a wasted prayer.
I'll
because
pray for you. No,
I think she needed prayer.
No,
Just not
not
need
that
to be
prayer.
found. She
Not-
didn't need to be found.
that was a waste
well,
of
she
prayer.
kind of probably needed to be found internally, but
I'll pray for you now for your mental health, girl, because you need it.
for sure.
Anyway, thank y'all
Thank y'all
for tuning in to the episode. We love y'all. Tune back in. Join the Patreon, all that thing. Like, share, subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe if you love our content.
Listen, we are about to really hit the ground running. Especially you about to see our faces a lot.
Yes.
'Cause
Prepare to be sick of us.
We
for sure.
we trying to build this thing, man. And so, all right, we love y'all. We know about for real. We out.
Peace.
Nah, but for real, tell me how I feel. We on that fire, tell me what's the deal. Nah, but for real, tell me how I feel. We on that fire, tell me what's the deal.